Lisa in here? I see her. Hey, Lisa. I've been inspired by our very own Lisa. She's been doing like a really cool um tracker, like almost like daily with her debt. Yes, you, my friend, you've been doing like these really cool trackers, and I think I've reposted most of them, right? I'm inspired by that. And I was looking at it and I was like, huh, it's been a while since we talk about like paying off our debt and going through like how to pay it, what to pay, what to think about when we're looking at it. So I wanted to actually pull something up that's really cool that we need some micropayment stickers. That's it, Mom. Can you make that a list? And she's killing it with her beautiful spreads too. Isn't she, Delilah? They are great. Micropayment stickers coming up. Ma, put that on my list. And no, honestly, I've been inspired by watching you do them. And I was like, oh, maybe I should do a segment on this a little bit. But I will pull up. Let me see where let me look at my budget ones. Because we do have a lot of budget paper. And I think it's in the mega one. Budget planner add-on. No, it's in the add-on that I did. So this one is definitely a little bit more on the springy side, although I will do an update to this. I love the single debt snowball tracker and the snowball trackers. I think they're great for like basically going through your debt and like eliminating some of it. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of go through like how to use these, right? So this again is called Budget Planner Add-on. If you were looking for it, I'm going to copy the page and I'm going to bring that over into, I'm going to do like a section in here. Let me go, yeah, this is the end. And what I want to do is kind of go through like how we could manage our debt if we wanted to like get a little fancy with it, right? So I'm going to split my screen by opening up two of the good notes here. Close out my daily and my fitness. This is going to be cool. I don't need it right now. And then let me just make sure you guys can see my screen, or if I have to move up a little. Can you guys see it? Sorry, there's a delay when I look at the screen. Okay, we're good. So I'm going to add that page here, but then I'm going to give you a couple of options on how to do this, okay? So obviously we don't have micropayment stickers as of yet, but we will. Those are coming. I'm also going to bring in the other budget one that I have. I don't want to do that one. Where it is, I think it's in here. This one. I'm going to use the coffee stuff. Okay. Hi, Tanya. I'm good. How are you? We're going to get into some budget stuff. So I'll give you myself as an example, right? So let's say I'm going to start paying off a specific credit card. But before I go into all that, I kind of want to go into what I do for a living when I kind of go through this for people. Let me see if I have like a cute piece of paper to demonstrate this. Let me see. Let me just bring, this paper is good. Okay, copy page. I'm going to put this back here. The reason is I'm going to start breaking stuff down for you guys, because I think sometimes it can get very confusing. So I'm going to try and break it down. Okay, before you can start tackling your debt, one of the biggest things you need to figure out is basically what you make and what you spend, okay? Having what you make and what you spend and understanding it is the biggest part. Without that, you're not going to be able to get to where you want to go, because you need to know how much total is coming in, and then how you divide that is super important. So here's something I normally do for myself in the beginning of the month, because I like to know where all the money is going to be going. But again, you can't figure that out without having your monthly, your weekly expenses, and then your income tracker, okay? And then here's what I'll tell you on top of that. You also need to figure out your formula. So when I say figure out your formula, you need to know how much you can afford to put in every bucket. Put a red heart in here if you're following me so far. If you're following me, if you have debt, if you get confused on how to pay it, I need to see red hearts, because I want to make sure I'm talking to an audience that's captivated. Okay, thank you. All right, so how do you figure out your formula? Basically, they say that the best formula is an 80, 10, 10. Okay? That's what most people say. Is it realistic? Depends. Only you can figure that out. But don't stress yourself over what the norm is and what people say to do, because at the end of the day, you need to figure out your own formula in order to be successful. Okay? What's the 80%, Carmen? This is bills. 10% is spend. And then 10% is debt. Okay? That is how you divide your paycheck. So how are you going to divide your paycheck, right? So most of us get paid every other week, bi-weekly. A lot of us also get paid weekly. So what you're going to do is, and some of us have, multiple jobs, which is why I have source. Or we're married, have a spouse or something, so you want to have the source. So what I normally do is this. I go in and I already know who's getting paid when. So I'll list it, right? So if I'm looking at a month, let me pull a month up as an example. Let's just talk about March, because I know February is basically over. So if I pull up March, I just got paid. So what day is it? All right, so it's my husband's turn, so then it's me, right? Okay, so I would basically come in here and I would say, hi, welcome in. This is a debt and budgeting live we're doing, a couple minutes of this. So if you're interested, stick around. Okay, so for me, I get paid on the 6th. So I would just basically put in here 3/6, and then I would say my name, right? And then the amount. And then my husband would be the following week. So then I would be like 3/12. And then I would follow that with 3/20. So Jose, Carmen, and then it would be back to the 27, right? So then that would be Jose, okay? And then to make it easy for everyone, I'm going to use like really round numbers. So my formula is 80, 10, 10, 10. Okay, but here's the thing. If you don't need 80% of your income to go to bills, I'm using this because we're in America right now, and majority of us are truthfully, honestly, living paycheck to paycheck. Like, that's the bottom line. Okay? There's no sugarcoating it. Like, most of us are living paycheck to paycheck, and most of us are using our credit cards to kind of substantiate and stuff like that. So that's why this is what they say the actual formula is right now. Again, hey, Liv, if you can depending on your circumstances, right? If you can pay your bills with less than your 80%, then you can afford to maybe throw, a higher percentage into your debt or into your spending. It's going to depend on everyone's situation. But because most of America should live on this one, I'm just going to keep it that one. If you believe that you can go down to 70 here, and then you want to keep your spend to 10 and then bump this up to 20, that's fine too. So whatever works for you. You just have to figure out what your formula is. But again, you're not going to know what your formula is until you figure out what your income is, and then what you figure out what your monthly and weekly expenses are. Why is it important for you to know what your weekly expenses are and your monthly? I'm going to tell you. Because in my situation, there's a paycheck coming every week, but they're different. So I need to figure out for the weekly expenses coming out in, like, let's say the week of 3/6, I need to make sure that whatever paycheck is happening, those bills can get paid with the 80% of that paycheck, and then I can still afford to do 10/10. Making sense for everyone? You guys are still following me? Let me see the red hearts. This stuff gets complicated and I get very passionate about it, so I just want to make sure you guys are still engaged. I still have you. Still here? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So let's just say and of course, I'm going to use these numbers because thank you so much. I appreciate that, Judy. I'm going to use these numbers because they're just easier to round out. Okay. So let's just say that this paycheck comes in and it's, I don't know, $1,800. And then this one comes in and it's $2,000. And then it's $1,800 and then it's $2,000 because we're salary people, right? So there's no changing it. Okay. So that's the formula, right? So that means that when I get paid on this week, right, I need to divide that into this 80-10-10. So I need to make sure that all of the bills coming out for that first week, like I said over here, is going to be able to fit in there. Because at the end of the day, the idea is to always make sure that you have some of it that's going to that debt box, right? So if the full check amount is $1,800, right? And then you take away the 80% of that. Where's my math people? What are we left with? 360. Why am I doing this math differently? So 10% would be 180. We have 180, right? That's 10% there. So we're left with 1440. Check my math, guys. I think that's right. Perfect. So 10, 10, and 80. That's what we're left with. So 180 goes to spend. Here's the problem, okay? Most people spend their 180 and then they're like, oh, I still want XYZ. And then they start tapping into this. Don't do that. If you, like, honestly, we've all done it. I've done it. Try not to do that. Because $180, even though it sounds like BS, is so much to a credit card. You get a credit card, they give you a $5,000 limit. You go, you use most of it, and then the minimum payment is $35, as an example, or $50. What they want you to do is pay only the minimum and keep racking up, basically, because when you pay the minimum, you're not knocking down what you really owe. You're just paying interest. So if I take that same card that has a $50 minimum payment and I take this 180 and throw it on top of that, it's reducing my interest by a lot. So what you want to do is you kind of want to go in here, right, and figure out, all right, so that's week 1 of March because we're calculating March right now. So I'm going to go in here and I'm probably going to do week of March. Oh, it's week of March 1st. So I can come in here and do like week of 3/1 through 3/7. Okay. And I'm going to list my expenses. It will take you years to pay. Yes, it will. Okay. Are you guys entertained? Or I feel like we're a planning community, but I'm over here giving you guys some life tools forever. So I hope you guys are enjoying. So you're going to come in here and you're basically going to mark down what you have in that week. So you're going to pull up your calendar. You do suck at budgeting, Jamira, really? So you're going to pull up your calendar, which I hope by now you guys have learned that it's really nice to have a calendar for the month with all of your bills. Now, you're going to pull up that week, and normally, let me see, without showing too much of my stuff, let me see if I can pull it. Promise me. All right, guys, hold on. So you should have something like this that shows all of your bills, and I'm going to go in here and turn it off for a minute, but you should have something where you have all of your bills kind of listed out for the whole month, and you know exactly what's happening this week. You should do that. If you don't do that, I highly recommend. Go in, look at your bills, look at when they due, and write down what's due and when, okay? So that you can keep track of everything. So if we go back to what we had before, I'm going to close this out. We're going to go back to here where we were, right? So I'm going to look at that first week and I'm going to say, okay, I'm trying to go off memory. I know I have the mortgage. So I would basically put in here, right? Mortgage. And I would put whatever is due for the mortgage. I'm just going to say 1,000 for now. Okay. And then I look at it and I'm like, all right, so 3/1, that's what's due. And then I also have, what do I have? I think my Macy's card. Is it my Macy's? I think it's my Macy's. So my Macy's card. And then I think that's whatever, 3/3, I think. Let's just say the minimum is like 35, I think. Okay. And then whatever else. I'm going off the top of my head here. I think my Victoria's Secret. Okay. And then that one, the minimum I think is also 35. And then that's it. For that week, that's it. Hey, Lolita. My sons still laugh at me for using bank ledgers to balance my checkbook. Well, I kind of do the same thing, but I do it on the iPad. So I use, do I have it on here? No. I use this, which is basically the same thing, but it's the, like the equivalent of the, okay, here it is. It's basically like the same thing you're talking about, but I put all the transactions and I list them here. So almost the same exact thing. Okay, so now I have what these are. So then I come down here and I add them all together, right? So I know for a fact it's going to be 70, right? So that's how much I'm going to spend on this week. What does that mean? That means that I can definitely do this formula. I can definitely do this formula because based on this 1,800, I needed 1,440 for bills and I needed spend and debt. That's what I needed. Okay. So that means that I'm going to do this formula. And when I calculate how much is left over, where should that leftover money go, guys? Where should the leftover money go? So based on my calculation, right, if I pull up, I needed 1,440. From this here, I'm only going to spend 1,070. That leaves me with $370 extra. Okay, I can put it in debt. I could, or, right? Or I can split it. This is where you get creative. Depending on how much debt you have, I would give you a different answer. If you don't have that much debt, I would say keep this formula going. You're going to be able to knock your stuff down. Yes, Diva, I would say, but not just any savings. You need a high yield savings account is what you need. Why? Because high yield savings accounts will give you like a 3.34%, and you can use that for any emergency fund. And if you don't have at least 3 months worth of bills saved in your emergency fund, work on that, because it's so important to have something saved for a rainy day. So I would stick it. I would look at my debt, right? This is why I'm going to do this page next. But I would look at my debt and I would say, okay, I already put 180 towards the debt, but I still have $370 that were left over on that paycheck. So I have to make a decision. Here's what I do, okay? I have to make sure that with my next paycheck, whatever bills for that week are coming, that he can afford it. So that's where I go first. I'll pull up and I'll do the same calculation with another sticky, and I'll do week 2 and I'll put the dates. And then I'll look, but that's in my case because I have 2 incomes here. So I'll check to see what's due on this week and can he afford the formula. But for the most part, I try to put this into a rainy day fund. High yield saving account all the way. Is high yield saving same as high yield checking? No. Normally, they give you a high yield savings with a higher interest than the high yield checking. The idea for the high yield savings is for you not to spend too much of it. But I will tell you, like SoFi has one that's really good. I think they're paying 3.5 or 4% last time I checked. American Express has a high yield savings account. And I saw the other day, I was talking to my husband, and I saw a commercial for Capital One has one now too at 3.3. But there are some checking accounts out there that do offer like a high yield checking. But when you look at it, it's only like a 1%. So SoFi, you can make categories. Oh, I love that. I love that. I haven't checked into them. I know they're good. No, they don't require a minimum. I know I do Amex. They didn't require a minimum. They don't require anything. You can open it with $0. Credit unions are great. They are. But I like them for checking accounts. Actually, I take that back. I like them for checking accounts that I'm not touching every day, because credit unions are hard to get on the phone if you have an emergency, right? So if you're out shopping on a Saturday and you start to see transactions on your account and you're like, I don't recognize these transactions, you try to call a credit union, you can't get anyone until Monday at 9 in the morning, and that's if you're lucky. But with like some of the bigger banks, you can get through on the weekend or any day. I have a high yield saving with Amex. You do? Yes, regular savings accounts. I think I just checked the other day, and it's like 0.01, 0.02. It's crazy. I recommend SoFi, American Express, Capital One, and then if you girls know of any others, let me know. Here, credit unions are good for auto loans and CDs. Yes, yes, and yes. Auto loans or any loan. They're amazing for credit cards. They have some of the best credit cards with the best cashback options. CDs as well. Oh, you can do that in the app with hours. Turn cards off. Yes, most of them let you do that. High Yield Marcus, and Wealthfront. I've never heard of them. I've never heard of them. Credit card. Yeah, credit cards are really good at credit unions. And it's always good to have a credit union because they're really good with lending. Like if you need a quick loan, or like my mom just said, like an auto loan, they're really good with that. So this is the idea of like how you do that. So let's move into how I'm going to do my snowball. Okay. So we already said, again, this is my 180. You have a couple options when it comes to debt. Okay. You can attack one card at a time based on highest interest, or you can tackle it based on the amount you owe them. Here's my 2 cents. Something that's very important when you're looking at your debt to income is you want to keep your DTI under 30%. Guys, I do loans for a living. I know it may seem like all I do is stickers because all my content is stickers, and even on my time off, that's all I freaking do. But this is huge. When I sit down with a business client and I'm looking at their debt to income, it doesn't matter which underwriter I'm talking to, we're looking at this. We're looking at, and this is personal, and mom, it's true. Everyone in my house thinks all I do is stickers, but in reality, it's not. I do more than stickers. 30% debt to income is where you want to stay. So that means, right, that if you have $10,000 worth of credit card limits, you really should not go anywhere past the 30% of that, which would be what, 3,000, right? Girl, you're so good at that. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate that. Yeah. So you really shouldn't go anywhere over 3,000, which seems crazy, right? Like 3,300. Isn't that 33%? That's 33%. 3,300 would be 33%. Yeah. I mean, 33%. Just don't go over 35. Love your perspective on this. Is such great info. Oh, thank you, Angie. I appreciate it. I do these, and sometimes I like second guess myself because I'm like, they want to see you plan, girl. They don't want to see you talk about. Repeat that again. I'm taking notes. Yes, they should be teaching this in school, and they don't. Which part, Tan? If you have credit cards, and let's say you have between all of them, I'm not just saying one, right? So let's say you have 5, 6, 7 credit cards, and between all of them, their limits together add up to 10,000. You should not go above this 30% that you owe. You should stay at 3,000 or so. So the same goes like if you have 20,000 worth of credit card limits, then you shouldn't go past 6,000 in debt, meaning altogether, that's all you should owe. Yeah, but now in high school, they don't even, do you guys know that they don't even teach these kids how to write in cursive? Like, I have to teach my kids how to sign their name because they don't even teach cursive anymore, which is absolutely ridiculous to me. And you know what my son said? My son is like, Mom, AI can't read cursive. So they don't want us reading cursive they don't want us writing cursive because AI would not be able to tell or see what we're saying. Blew my mind. Blew my mind. I was like, that is absolutely crazy. I didn't think about it, and now I'm so thinking about it. Because it's true. If you try to show AI a paper or whatever written in cursive, it won't be able to read it. Okay, so let's just say, and I'm not going to put on here like my real amount, but let's just say it's month, and I'm going to tackle this in March. So we know what we know. We know that we want to stay. My 7-year-old taught herself. Oh, that's amazing that she was actually interested in teaching herself. Yep, a lot can only read First grade level and no cut. Yes, it's absolutely ridiculous. So for me, this creditor is actually Barkley. And that's my my travel card, and I want to knock it down because I want to take some trips, right? So what I'm going to do, I don't know the due date. I'm going to look that up later, but I was looking at my interest rate, you guys. It's 27.9%. Crazy to me. Okay? My granddaughter. Wait, granddaughter or daughter? My granddaughter. Okay. And then what you're going to do is, again, this is just, we're pretending here. Okay. So let's just say the balance on that card is $5,000. That's how much I owe. The minimum payment on that card, let's just say it's $75. Now, this is where I start to use the calculation that we did over here for the extra, the 180 debt. I'm going to tackle this one card and this one card alone. I'm going to throw all of it in here. So this 180 is going straight to this. Now, this is where it gets a little confusing because it's asking you what the new balance is. And your brain is naturally going to want to take this $5,000 minus the $75 payment because you're still making this payment. This is just an extra payment minus the 180 that you're paying. And your brain is automatically going to want to say, oh, so then what's that? 45. Your brain is automatically going to be like, okay, 47.45 is the new balance. That's not true because they're going to take the new balance after you pay all this stuff, add this interest back in. And then it's going to go up times this interest because they do this every single month. If you don't pay it off in full, it gets hit with that interest. That's how many credit card interests are, which is why I'm paying that one off first, too high of interest. Exactly. So again, you can choose to pay it based on the high interest rate one first or the one you owe the most first. There's no right or wrong way. Honestly. My daughter got her first credit card this month. Tips for helping establish credit. Angie, stay with me. I got some really good tips for you on that. Okay, so the error is we always assume this is going to be our new balance. So we go over here and we do 47.45, and then when we see our bill, we're like, wait, why is it not 47.45? Because you forgot to add back in the 27.9% that they're going to come for you with because you still owe something on that card. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now you have to take that, and I don't sit here and calculate it. I let them do it because a lot of the times they'll round up. So if you always pay the statement balance, then you'll never pay interest. That's the best way to do it. 45 plus 27. I'm just going to do 28%. That's wrong. That's not it. 28%. Oh, but then you divide that amount by 12. It's a complicated freaking math thing. Anyway, don't ever assume that this is going to be your new balance because it is until you get hit with this interest. And then you can get the balance the balance that's owed. And then you can go in, repeat the same thing. $75 might be your monthly. That's where they get you though. They see that you gave them the 75 plus the 180. Then they hit you with, oh, well, this month, we're only going to request $70 from you. If you can afford to pay the 75 that you were already thinking of, pay it. So then you're going to do the same thing, 180. This is going to go down. So basically, all the way to the end. Here is where snowball is so important. Okay. So I always go by what the minimum payment was on the first time I touched the card and added it to my snowball tracker. So this 75 is what I'm going to use. So let's pretend we did this for a couple months, boom, paid it off. Okay. So now it's time to basically tackle the next card. So what I'm going to do on this card, and let's pretend, right, that this is now, I don't know, I started this in March. Let's say I was able to pay it and it's now December. So let's just say this is December now. And let's say this one is my, damn, who do I owe? Let's use Apple. Okay. And let's say this balance is only $3,000. Okay. And let's say their minimum payment with the $3,000 is $45. Cool. My extra payment, right? Obviously, I'm going to do this calculation, but let's just say this is the same payment and pay that I'm still getting. I'm going to use this 180, but I'm also going to use this 75. This card is paid off now, and I was budgeting for it before. So I'm going to take this 75 plus the 180 that I already calculated that I should be using based on how much I'm making, and I'm going to add those two together, right? And now my payment to this card, my extra payment should be $255. That means I'm going to pay this card off in no time. That's where you start to see yourself breathing again. Because once you pay one off, you can use the minimum payment plus the extra payment that you were allotting based on what you make. And then boom, you tackle the next card. I'm going to be able to literally pay this off in a couple months. And I'm breathing again. Of course, I'm probably going to go on Coach website and use my Apple Card to buy the next best bag once I pay it off. But we're not going to talk about what I'm going to buy. We're just talking about how I'm going to pay it off, okay? Or the new notebook is going to come out and I'm going to buy like 5 of them, okay? But we're not talking about what we're spending here. I'm just talking about how we're going to pay it off. So this is what you want to do. The monthly expenses, I like to have one for myself. And then I do one for each of my exactly. That's the future. We'll talk about paying that off after the fact, okay? I can't help that Coach has releases every time I breathe. So I'll do one for myself, and then I'll do one just like this for my husband, and then I'll do one for the kids. Now, back to your question, Angie. Here's what I would tell my daughter. This is what I told my daughter. If she has a credit card, I sat with her and literally pulled out a piece of paper. I'm not lying. I can call her down here right now. And I pulled out a piece of paper. And you're going to show her just like this. You're going to tell her, I don't know, let's pretend they gave her $3,000. And you're going to tell her $3,000 is the balance or the limit the card is giving you. God help you if you hit that. That's the first thing you're going to tell her. Okay? God help you if you touch this up here. God help you. Because I'm coming for you in 1,000 different ways. Okay, so even better. Let's do 1,000. God help you if you touch that. Okay? And this is what I would say to her. You want to use it as an everyday card to purchase what you were going to purchase anyway. Okay? So that means gas. If you were going to use whatever you were going to use your debit card for, stop using your debit card. Use your credit card, get the points, and help your credit. So if you're going to go get gas, or if you're going to go with your friends and you're going to get, I don't know, Chipotle. These kids cannot get enough of Chipotle. You're going to the mall and buying yourself, I don't know, what would they need at the mall? Sephora, or they need hair products, or they need to go to CVS and get like feminine products, whatever it is. If you were going to use your debit card for it, which means you already had the money to spend for it, use your credit card instead. And then as soon as what I tell my daughter to do, because it's just easier, what I do is, does she work, Angie? Does she work or no? Got enough. Okay, so even better. You want to tell her, show her this formula. And then with her, okay, this is moved here and I never moved it. So let me put it back up here. Show her this formula. It's very important for them to understand this. And she's so young, I would get her to start investing. Okay? So she doesn't have any debt. So in her case, instead of debt, she would invest. She can get like an Acorns or a Robinhood account, or who else is good? With kids, I like Robinhood and I like Acorns. But Charles Schwab is good too. That's good. She should be investing some of that. And when I say investing, nothing risky, but still like maybe some, I can give you a list because I'm not technically licensed, so I don't want to go into that too much, but there's different ways where you can put some of that money to work for you and they're safe. Nothing too risky, although she's young enough where she could be riskier. But that's for someone else who's licensed, because technically I don't want to get in trouble for giving that type of advice when I'm not licensed for it. So with that being said, tell her that if she was going to use her debit card, instead of using the debit card, I work and pay my own cell phone bill. That's awesome. You're going to basically, instead of using your debit card, you use your credit card. And then what I tell my daughter is if she works, if she gets paid weekly, what you want her to do is pull up the app for the credit card, look through the transactions, and whatever, like let's say she did $200 between food, gas, a couple things she wanted at the mall. Once she gets paid, she pays the $200, zeroes the card out, because it'll help her her credit score. But I also suggest that you stay on it and you pay attention, because they will up this amount. If she does what I'm saying, they're going to bump that 1,000. Before you know it, it'll be 3 or 5 or 10. And you want to pay attention, because that's a lot of money. And a lot of people see that amount and they start to assume and think that they want to start spending more. So you want to make sure she always understands that the best thing in her life to do is to stay in that 30%. Is it okay to zero it off every month? Yes. People think that actually does something bad for them. No, it doesn't. As long as you're using the card, one thing people do make a lot of mistakes about, though, excuse me, is that they zero out the card and never use it. If you never use it, the bank is going to close it, because there's no purpose in you having that card. Does making the payment as soon as possible before the due date help? It makes no difference. That's a myth. As long as you pay it before you get the interest, Mom, you're good. So you need to know when the closing date of that card. So there's a difference. There's a closing date on the card, and then there's a due date. If you pay it before the closing date, you won't pay interest. That's good to know. I always thought that hurts you. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. If anything, it shows you're responsible, because you're getting it paid. If they close your card, it dings your credit. Yes, it does. That's why, like, if you have, like, even this card, right, that I'm talking about, when I pay this down, I have to turn around within the next 3 months and put something on it, even if it's just a coffee. Or, I don't know, I was going to the gas station anyway. I'm going to pull this card out and put something on it, because when you don't show activity on it, to them it's like, well, why does she need this card then? You know what I mean? Ooh, that's a lot of talking. That's like an hour and a half of just, it does, yep. And if they lower your limit, it also dings your credit. So that's something to think about. Okay, so that was a lot, you guys. Card reports on the statement date don't use until after statement days. Keep like Spotify or Netflix. You could do that. You could. Love it. Such great advice. You're welcome. So yeah, I wanted to go through that because like I said, Lisa has been inspiring me to talk about it and just kind of go through different ways of managing it. But I think having this calculation out of this whole live that I did, there's a lot of, good stuff that you probably picked up in the live, but this calculation here is probably the best part. Being able to take that 80, 10, 10, or like I said, if in your case you can do 70, 10, 20, it's great. So, she was my inspiration today to kind of get that. And I do this. I live by this 80, 10, 10, and then obviously, this spend is always a problem because when you look at it, you're like 180 to spend. That's it. What are you putting on the brown list? Oh, that's a great question. So on the brown list, are you ready for this? On the brown list, this is where I put the stuff that I want. Because of course I have this 180 that I can spend, right? So I'm going to put on here the stuff that I want that comes out of this spend category because I already know which card I'm attacking debt-wise. But here, I'll make a list. And the reason I make a list, I'm going to tell you right now. So let's say the other day I wanted the Lana bag, right? So I can go in here and do Lana. And then I put, I don't know how much she was, but I think it was like $345? No. I don't know. Let's just say she's $350. I don't know how much she was. I will make a list of all of my like wants, right? This does something psychological to you. When you look at it and you see the amount and you're like, oh, I wanted that, but that's how much that is. Like, do I really need it? Do I want it? And then obviously I don't have enough in this spend category for that. So what do? I take that spend money. If there's nothing on the list that I truly want to use this spend bucket for, I will throw it in my high yield savings and wait. And just wait. And then I'll make a note that I put it away. So I might need to save it a couple times before I can afford this. This is because guess what? I'm not going to jeopardize my debt money to buy something on my spend. I'm not doing it. I'd rather put my spend away for a couple of paychecks and then buy what I want instead of going into debt for it or using my debt money for it. No. Makes sense now what I use that list for? This is where I put all my wants. And it could be something stupid, but if I want it and it's not like a need or a necessity, I put it there. So that's how I break it down. And that's how it looks. Should I do my March calendars a little early this year? Actually, if you did them now, you're kind of on time. We did ours already, and I'm probably gonna change it up. I don't know yet, but all right. Who wants to plan now? Who's ready to plan? Because I was talking for hours there. I'm gonna close this out, close this out, close this out, close it.